Fact or fake? The COVID-19 pandemic has brought about a paradigm shift in how we think about information. For the first time in recent history, you can be arrested for creating or spreading fake news. But as your finger hovers over that forward button, how do you decide whether something is fact or that you may indeed be the bearer of fake news? In this article, I will discuss 5 levels of truth and give pointers on how to navigate your way through the information jungle out there. Level 1 includes the established scientific facts we all agree on. The earth rotates around the sun, apples always fall to the ground, and humans can't breathe underwater. We call these facts because the same observations have been made by different, independent people in different settings and locations across the world, and the observations are always replicable. Much of what we know of the natural world is made up of scientific facts. Information on level 2 I will describe as evidence-based science and is mostly found in areas of scientific innovation. In medicine, when, for example, we develop new treatments or prevention strategies, we need to gather information about how well that treatment works in a real-life situation, its possible adverse events, and how best to use it. I won't cover the different research methodologies, but studies must be large enough, well-designed, and have been done in diverse populations to give credible results, and most importantly, must be able to be replicated. The medical profession has burnt its fingers in the past by accepting early information too quickly. A good example is the initial belief that hormone replacement therapy would be protective of women in old age, until the Million Women study in 2000 discovered that risks go up exponentially after 5 to 10 years on treatment. Level 3 I will call, for want of a better word, experimental science. And although in medicine we like to think that we are using evidence-based medicine most of the time, in reality a lot of what we use to diagnose and manage patients are still in a phase of being experimental. Experimental science includes many hypotheses, either through new discoveries or through using an understanding of pathophysiology or through initial small studies showing promising results. This is the science where we still find contradictory viewpoints, and scientists don't always agree. We are still exploring and learning, and some of our theories may turn out to be true, and others may be completely false. Now, level 4 is where it gets interesting. I'm going to call this narrative news, and you will notice I no longer use the word science or fact. Human beings have the remarkable ability to make up stories to make sense of the world around them. This is an essential survival skill if you want to make quick decisions on minimal information. But it also leads to our favorite pastime, jumping to conclusions. It's extraordinary the complicated, rich, and very plausible narratives we can come up with to make information fit. The less we know, the more fascinating and juicy the story, and the more likely we might pass it on. We believe the narratives we create, and academics and scientists are not exempt from this tendency. So how do you know that we have inadvertently stumbled onto fake news? Fake news at level 5 is obvious lies, untruths, and hoaxes, either created for malicious purposes or sometimes by extreme ideologists to create narratives to suit their political agendas. These are usually easy to spot by experts, and a 5-minute Google search will reassure the average person that it is false. We have certainly seen all 5 levels of information spread in the current COVID-19 pandemic. Level 1 is the solid science we all agree on. The virus has been identified and the genome plotted, verified by scientists across the globe. Level 2 includes the body of knowledge built up by experts and infectious disease consultants across the world, for example on the incubation period, the symptoms of the disease, and the route of infection. These observations have been repeated in many different populations and agreed on by clinicians. But most of what we know about COVID-19 is still level 3, experimental science. We have various hypotheses and small studies that show possible initial treatments and understanding of the pathophysiology of the disease. Chloroquine as a treatment for COVID-19 is a good example. There are studies done with very small numbers, either showing a possible effect and others showing no benefit at all. These studies and information sharing give scientists a clue on what needs to be included in our larger trials, but the actual truth has not yet been established. Although sharing at level 3 information is useful by practitioners who are actively working in the field and can decide what to take forward, it can cause confusion and misunderstanding in the general public. But level 4 and level 5 seems to have the biggest spread of all, and I think the greatest danger is narrative news. Plausible, sensationalist stories that is not based on any data or established facts and muddles the important messages around treatment and prevention we are trying to get out there. Let's get back to that moment when you're about to forward that article or that link. Spend a bit of time to consider on which of the 5 levels this particular bit of information is sitting. Is it a fact? Is it established, reproducible science? Is this a new hypothesis or theory? Is this just a really good story? Or is this actually a hoax? If you are struggling to differentiate, I would like to give 3 pointers. First, establish the credentials of the person that is writing. A Google search should easily establish if this is an expert or an armchair opinion. Secondly, look at the source of the data that the information is based on. Are these drawn from opinions, data, experiences, research papers, etc.? What are the references, and follow the trail? And lastly, if you cannot distinguish which level the information is on, fact check it with an expert in that specific field. I always appreciate being asked by friends and community members to double-check information before it is shared. COVID-19 is teaching us many things, including how to appropriately navigate and judge the constant stream of information out there. This is the skill for the 21st century, for us and our children, weighing the level of truth and not taking it all in blindly. We live in an era of too much information, and much of it, unfortunately, is fake. Stay safe, stay aware, and all the best with your journey in discernment.